So namaste and a very, very good morning to all of you. We have today Dr. Mathimaran Natarajan from Pondicherry University with us. And I think we also have Dr. Ingan here. So again, welcoming you all on behalf of the organizing team of the School of Yoga Therapy, the ISCM of Balaji Vidyapeeth. So I'll just take a few moments to introduce Dr. Mathimaran.
ये अच्छा।
Yes. So is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So again, I take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you for this international online faculty development program on the role of yoga in attaining the sustainable development goals. And today being day 5, we have the privilege and the pleasure and the honor of having Dr. Mathimaran Natarajan sir, who is the Associate Professor and Coordinator, Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies at Pondicherry University. And he will be discussing today on the sustainable living and planetary health, a One Health perspective. And again, it's just my pleasure to be reiterating that it is an initiative, like we are collaborating with the Ministry of AYUSH through the signature event Yoga Bandhan. And it is a wonderful opportunity for us to be collaborating with the Ministry of AYUSH and the other associations worldwide, Geetananda Yoga worldwide, and then Pondicherry University, SYT University, Bangalore, Norwegian University of Science and Technology from Norway, and then NIMHANS, Bangalore, Srimat Yoga, Bangalore, Amity University, Noida, Delhi, and last but not the least, we have Indian Yoga Association and the other institutions with whom we are collaborating. And it gives me immense pleasure to be introducing the resource person, a very apt person to be talking about the topic that he is selected, and I'm truly looking forward to hearing from him. Dr. Mathimaran is an environmental scientist with a PhD from ETH Zurich and over 18 years of international research experience in Switzerland, Europe, and Africa. He has held key positions at the University of Basel, FIBL, and played a pivotal role in Indo-Swiss research collaborations on sustainable agriculture. As principal investigator of the Indo-US Joint Research Project, he collaborates with leading institutions like the University of Basel, MSSRF, ICRI SAT, and TNAU to advance climate start agriculture and microbial ecophysiology. He serves as the Deputy Dean, International Relations, and Special Officer in charge of the Green Campus at Pondicherry University. Sir's primary contributions are based on sustainability initiatives and academic partnerships. His research focuses on agroecology, rhizosphere ecology, and climate resilience. His major focus is on sustainable development, climate change, and microbial ecology. And he is doing this wonderful job of bridging science and practical solutions for environmental sustainability. So here we go. I'm stopping the sharing. Here we go, sir. The stage is all yours. and we are eagerly waiting for your presentation, sir.
Very good morning, ma'am, and to all the participants who have joined. Thank you again for this wonderful meeting, international event. I am really also honored and pleasure to have an opportunity to present here my journey and also the topic for today. And I'm sure you all will see the interconnectedness of sustainability with various aspects of health, and in general today specifically on planetary health topic. I think right away I would start sharing my PPT. Just here a moment. Okay, I hope
Yes,
it is
we can
visible.
see your slides, sir.
Okay, good. I'll make it.
Make it full screen. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
We can see it.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Fine. So I think this has been the series of lectures. I'm sure there were already presentation on topic, that relates also to today's topic on sustainable living in a larger context. But also specifically, you might have heard in the previous presentation more specific on yoga and various aspects of presentation. And as you see in the title for today, the main focus I want to bring is sustainable living and planetary health. I think most of us know, especially from medical background, uh, from the medical background, out I myself from environmental background, mainly on climate and sustainability. But sustainable living means it's a very a holistic approach, as we all now understand from various perspectives that in fact holistic medicine and holistic approach of dealing with illness is getting more importance than ever before, and that is because of a lot of research and the concept of planetary health and one health is, as you all know, fast emerging or already in the process of integrating various aspects of components like environment, that includes also mainly climate and uh, and all related fields, including agriculture, animal science, and so on. So for you today, I think I would like to bring some of the key components in this area, and as well introduce the concept of what it means. I think for at least uh, for some of us or many, the planetary health concept is quite important at the global level. This is something emerging also in terms of more research has been, or research grant has been put into this topic. So what it means planetary health and how the sustainable living and one health, all this interconnectedness, that's the main for me today's goal of the presentation. So as you see, we all live in a very fast depleting and fast degrading environmental situation, and we all have witnessed quite a dramatic and profound impact of the recent pandemic COVID-19. We have seen that's exactly where I think kind of revisiting our own the topic of zoonotic diseases or things are now uh, again uh, getting attention globally. That's also in a perspective to prevent or try to minimize the impact of future pandemic like COVID. Of course, we never know in what form, but there have been already strong linkages have been forecasted, as you all know, from various perspectives. Like there might be new emerging diseases that might pose a even more serious threat for global health. So objective, as I told, for us to understand a little, particularly for mainly some of the uh, students, if they are joined here, or even personnel with the different specific focus or expertise, but who wish to try to understand what it means sustainable living and planetary health, as you see along this chain of hierarchical understanding. So, as you see in the slide, what is sustainable living? Of course, we all know from our own traditional living, particularly in India, we all have been very well documented, Vedic literatures specifically have shown way what it means sustainable living. But in a way, perhaps we might have forgotten over the time uh, the concept of sustainable living in various perspectives. Perhaps maybe the focus have been diverted to more choose understanding very specific topics. But what it means sustainable living, which has been practiced thousands of years back already, is interconnectedness. As we all know, that we live in an environment with so many factors influencing us, and that means obviously health of individual is determined by weather, the environment, pollution, multiple factors, and that is something what we have to more better understand right at the moment and in future, because we all know the huge impact of environmental degradation, and due to the growth of the, specifically all this phenomenal growth over the last 50 years, particularly of infrastructures and various things which contributes to, as we all know, global warming, many things. So, but then coming to little bit specific on how it is defined by United Nations Environment Program, as you see in the slide. Sustainable living refers to lifestyle choices and consumption patterns that minimize environmental degradation, preserve resources, and ensure intergenerational equity. So, this is very, very carefully articulated and carefully defined definition of sustainable living, taking into consideration particularly the environmental degradation here, and of course, to ensure intergenerational equity. That means we owe responsibility for future generation. That is the main take home here. So what we live now as a responsible person or individual should reflect in futures, in a way, take care of future generation. That's something in a larger sense also for health. Whatever we create today or damage, that's going to have a profound effect on future generation. That is obviously how we are going to live responsibility in a very brief definition. So the core principle, as you see in the bottom here, is specifically reduce ecological footprint. So I think for some of you, maybe this is new concept for what it means, particularly if you are in a medical field and if you are not addressing health in a interconnected way. So ecological footprint means every day, every walk of our life have some kind of footprint. That means this is in general they have given, but there are so many other footprints, what we call carbon footprint, water footprint, energy, and so many things. So how we deal with that is at the end eventually going to bring a global change. So the global change, what I mean is, for example, major changes what we see as global warming or sea level rise or flood, many disasters we are witnessing over the last particularly 10 years. So that is something what we want to try to reduce. And of course, all these things means we have both direct impact on our health and also indirectly. For example, when we talk about warming, so global average temperature, even 1 degree rise in temperature or even 0.1 degree rise in temperature, going to have a big impact on every living organism. I think the mechanism we all have from the biological background or medical background, we all know the reason why even 0.1 degree rise in temperature would affect our physiology and mental health as well. So that is obviously makes us to bring the importance of conservation of biodiversity. And in a way, how do we do this is we have to try to minimize or understand how we can reuse. In principle, circular economy means how we are going to uh, uh, build a strong economy, but still minimize the carbon footprint and other footprints. So that is something what we are going to see also over the next slides. And of course, social equity and participatory governance is very important. So growth without social equity or without or growth at the cost of social structure is not sustainable, as we know. So then who does what and how the social structure is affected have to be taken consideration for sustainable living as a community. So that is something very, very important. And I think I'm sure this slide with all these 17 different colors or 17 different, you know, goals are by the time now very, very familiar to all of you over the previous presentation as well, I suppose. But in brief, as you see, so these are not actually numbered serially from 1 to 17, not ordered in that aspect, but basically to understand the main pillars, it has been grouped into three groups: environmental goals on the left here, with and then social goals here, that is specifically all these goals dealing with social aspects, and economic goals. So in a way they are kind of understood as the main three pillars of sustainability in a way. But this doesn't mean obviously, as you see, This is just for better understanding or better grouping of socially related, more tightly linked goals with social aspect. That doesn't mean this is not related at all to environment. For example, good health and well-being is tightly linked to also life on land and so on. So in fact, as we know, most goals are, almost all goals are interlinked. They have interconnectedness, and that is something uh, very, very important to understand, that how each goal is connected with each other. As far as the SDG and sustainability, with this main grouping of three grouping or pillars, as you see here, environmental goals mainly the climate, life on land, life below water, all these are mainly tightly linked with the environment, and the rest are social, and then economic, of course. We know clean energy, industrial innovation, and so on. Okay, now the other key terminology in the title, as you see, what it means, planetary health. In a way, it's really little more like an even more above than, or I would say, umbrella of every component of health or sustainable living in the planet. It's maybe even more in a level of how to address various systems of approach, like One Health and other thing. So planetary health, as I said, already getting momentum in terms of how we going to safeguard our planet, and directly and indirectly, of course, how we're going to uh, address the sustainable living. And here again, this have been already conceptualized long back. Planetary health is health of human civilization, a state of natural system on which it depends. So very simple, very clear definition, understand, easy to understand. But then what is new about it? What is something which has been, I think, over the time have been forgotten until now, only recently, there is a strong evidence of research coming out. Lot of diseases are emerging, and also even our mental health is influenced by various components of planetary health, and that is the reason now this topic of planetary health is getting even more attention than before. So key data points, for example, this is alarming, as you say, about 13 million deaths of year globally attributed to unhealthy environment. So there's no doubt about it. And I think how we deal with the diseases, particularly the mental health or well-being, what we call, have to be addressed in a more holistic approach. And I think that is one of the main purpose or the main outcome. I probably assume that this international seminar series is going to bring out at the end conceptualization of a holistic well-being. So in that regard, biodiversity loss means, so sometimes this is largely ignored area where I think health system, including probably focusing more on therapeutic or more addressing specific diseases and a more modern medicines. But I think now many health system already integrating the biodiversity, the green, so-called green area of influence of impact of health, uh, integrating various biodiversity, that means both plant and animal system, and climate change also. And what you see in this slide is a little bit, larger schematic conceptualization model of what means planetary health literacy. As you see, I don't have to, I think, describe more detail. It's self-explanatory, but you see planetary health literacy means there is a society, individual, and various scale. Here, global, societal, individual contribution, and here on the right hand side, how the interconnectedness. So it's very clear that human activities, human health, and state of earth are all interlinked, and that is how we try going to. And these have been very well now brought out, and there's of course a lot of room for research in this area, planetary health and literacy uh, as such. So One Health, I think you must be quite familiar with this term now, uh, which is, I think the most health system globally are already started to integrate, particularly of post-COVID era or post-COVID time. This catchy word of One Health is emerging because of the interconnectedness with all the uh, disease spread from animal to human or environmental impact and interconnectedness sectors. Uh, as we all also know why it is catching up is also the post-COVID that we know. Okay, the COVID-19, there are so many hypotheses, so many things that this might have been, when we try to understand the origin of COVID, there have been still research and there have been various hypotheses. It is likely that the COVID-19 would have emerged also from maybe misuse of the or illegal trading of the threatened wildlife species, for example, pangolins. You might have heard of that. Pangolins were supposed that they might have the origin from that, but this is still a lot of things might still be unaddressed thing because it's so much complicated system or complex system for better understanding. And that is the reason why now this One Health, how One Health is an integrated unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance and optimize the health of people, animals, and ecosystem. And it's very clear, you see, 75% of the emerging phases are zoonotic, that is coming from animals. Climate change increases vector bound, that I think everybody, one of us, we know how, for example, sometime reducing the life cycle of mosquitoes or over having impact of more population of malaria-borne mosquitoes and so on. Land use change, of course, if you change, that is also impacting. So many of these things are going to be the future way of wellness. Uh, I think that is something what this particular uh, international conference is trying to bring out. So again, here, uh, planetary health framework, we have to little understand for better understanding. I bring out this slide. What are the framework? But when we talk about planetary health, it's clear that there's so many components linked, and understanding it in terms of framework. Planetary boundaries framework identifies 9 critical Earth system process. So I think this is a basic understanding for particularly the people. What I assume as this is a very general audience. Of course, I'm sure there be certain maybe some environmentalists or specifically, of course, medical experts. But what I try to keep is to bring out some kind of general concept on this planetary health and what it means in terms of framework. So that is something obviously what you see here in the slide. So basically it's a 9 planetary boundary, what they call it planetary boundaries. So it means this is the threshold limit for each of these 9 planetary thing. If we cross those threshold limits, then we are at the risk of many issues. So climate change, you see, when we talk about global warming and One Health, already it's a part of it, but then planetary health is much more in a upper, as I already indicated, in a larger term, comprises so many components. So as you see, the first 6 year, climate change, biosphere integrity, land system change, freshwater usage, and so on. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Sorry. So we have atmospheric aerosol loading and novel entities like plastic and so on. So I don't have to read this, but these are the 9 boundaries, what they define as the planetary threshold. So to guide sustainable development, so we need to stay within the Earth's ecological threshold, as I mentioned. So this is something very, very important. So when we talk about planetary health, so keep in mind these 9 boundaries. So what is the current status of planetary boundaries? So this is something also to be understood, at least for this purpose of this presentation, to also bring out where are we standing? Are we in a situation, in a better situation, or in a critical situation? That is something you need to understand. But as you see very clearly, the latest Stockholm Resilience Center defines 6 out of 9 boundaries have been transgressed. That means we are almost, crossing the boundaries, which is very, very, in terms of what we say, most critical breach are in these 6: climate change, biodiversity loss, biogeochemical flows, novel entities, land system change, fresh water use. So imagine the implication now, as you see already at the bottom, irreversible ecological tipping point. When we cross the boundaries, I think this is something what as a society or global society, as we all know, many of these uh, critical points are irreversible. So that means it's beyond repair, and there is nothing we can address. Nothing can be done for the future generation. I would say, for example, some phenomena, some boundaries, what we are environmental impact in the past. For example, you all must be very familiar about ozone hole, right? Is it a success story that the global people, global community, research, or global government have addressed or not? I think most of us know what was the outcome of global effort for addressing ozone hole in the ozone layer. So quickly, anyone want to tell, was it a success story that did we address it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how far is it? Are we 100% able to address, or at least most mostly was it addressed?
Sir, it is.
Yeah, actually, ozone, a global effort addressing the ozone impact was one of the most success story. As you all know, that the global effort was able to address, in fact, almost the hole was closed, but still it's again some time re-emerging. They say that data shows, but this is one of the most success story. But you see that it's a reversible if we take measures in advance. But these 6 planetary boundaries are many of the environmental footprint are irreversible if we cross certain stage. That means we have to forget about it. We cannot go back even if we are technically advanced, even if we enter into AI era or any other most advanced artificial intelligence, we're not able to solve it. So that is something why this planetary health need to be taken very serious, and an implication is very, very clear. Threat to food security, that means food related issues are going to be emerge. Water quality, public health, increased zoonotic spillover risk. And that is a very, very clear indication that uh, uh, consequence of transgressing of boundaries. So, but still, if I would say we are still in a boundary, crossing the boundary, and there is still seems we can take a detour to avoid or address it in a long-term solution, a sustainable solution. Uh, so planetary boundaries, where are we? For this is an example, you see 2020 of planetary boundaries, where are we crossing? All this is something you see the more the planet, different components, climate change, of course you have biosphere, genetic and all the system, uh, somewhat some have been crossed or transgressed and so on. So within now we have seen these out of 9, 6 have been now under critical. We are crossing the boundaries, but 3 what is this concept of triple planetary crisis is also emerging, of course integrated with health. You see main out of 6, 3 interconnected environmental crises: climate change, biodiversity loss and pollution that threaten humanity's well-being and planetary stability. So obviously this is something extremely important to understand what it means, triple planetary crisis within the framework of planetary health. So the 3 interconnected crises: climate change, how it is driven by greenhouse gas emission, that is very clear. The growing transport system and all that. Every year, the temperature is breaking its own record. Every month's record is broken, previous record, and so on. So that is something consistently we see over the last consecutive 9 to 10 years, that climate change driven greenhouse gas emission and the global warming. So implication is very clear: rising sea level, extreme weather, vector-borne diseases, and that's something estimate of about 250,000 projected deaths annually, according to WHO, just by climate change alone. Of course, it has direct and indirect. So biodiversity loss, I think this is again for the participant from non environmental or ecological background. Biodiversity is again made emphasized to bring more biodiversity to secure the well-being. So what is the linkage is 1 million species at risk of extinction. Very clear. That means if species extinct, we can't think just, okay, it's another dinosaur died or another species died. But because of the tight linkages, for example, interconnected even with the food web, if one species is extinct, then it is going to trigger a cascade of events, and that is indirectly affecting at the end also the humans, right? So biodiversity loss, particularly also both plant and animals, and that we know specifically also the pollinators, ecosystem service providers like honeybees. So honeybees role and all other pollinators, particularly the honeybees, role of honeybees, we all know the importance. I think very famous saying, they say the whole humanity might be perished if all honeybees in a week time, if all honeybees are gone. So, and the reason we know is honeybees are most part of the food we eat, the vegetables. More than 70–80% are cross-pollinated species. So obviously, if there is no or decrease in honeybees, impacts the production of vegetables, mainly vegetables. So that's one important aspect of food system and biodiversity, and this itself is a big topic, and in fact every aspect is a big topic. So, but my idea is to bring you the essence of the main in a planetary health concept for this international. So we have almost roughly 15 minutes, so I little bit go faster now. So pollution, I don't have to tell. I think this is already you have seen huge impact. um, Again, this is a schematic representative of triple planetary crisis. What we have seen, the climate change, biodiversity, and pollution, and then how it is also in a large extent impacting the whole system, right? So how now the point is, because of this topic with link to well-being, yoga, and other mental health institutions, human and ecosystem health impact. As I already mentioned, climate change has human health impact, heat stress, malnutrition, other thing, and coral bleaching, and the other thing as environmental impact. So this is something for better understanding or compartmentalized to better understanding how human specific impact and ecosystem impact of this crisis of biodiversity loss, food security, as I told, mental health decline, collapse of ecosystem, and similarly pollution is well known, of course, respiratory illness, cancer, so I don't have to go into detail because the medical, it's a part of this medical team here, and background people from mostly medical background. Pollution and cancer is almost very tightly linked. Soil infertility, aquatic life, and so on. So within the pollution, air pollution getting worse and worse, 7 million deaths per year. As you know, this alone is much larger than even the total number of deaths, combined death of COVID-19. I hope, I think if I'm right, that is the data says uh, people die of pollution or regularly much higher than what we saw in global pandemic deaths. So that is something sometimes not brought and prominent thing, but I think under the planetary health and One Health, this is something very important data to know, understanding, to compare with the deaths more than what we see in pandemics. climate-related disaster already have shown. Of course, migration, other things, pollinators threaten. You see, 75% of the global food crops, Food and Agriculture Organization. So less the pollinator, already they have shown global temperature and many pollution creates or impacts pollinators, including honeybees, bats, and so on. And that means there is going to be a big challenge for, I'm sorry to say, for the vegetarian mainly. Maybe the vegetable price is going to shoot up if this is going to be the trend, because the mostly cross-pollinated. So One Health, I'm going to quickly go through, but not too much emphasis, but because these have been probably already familiar for most of you about the interconnectedness of climate, animals, and ecosystem. All have been integrated, unifying approach that aims to sustainably balance, optimize the health of the people. And core principle already I've elaborated. Interconnected is the main key word. Human, animal, environmental health have to be balanced, otherwise it loses the balance. And how we're going to address it is transdisciplinary collaboration is the only way. And in fact, that is the one reason that at Pondicherry University, in collaboration with the SBV, we last year under the Center for Sustainability and Climate, we launched a program of One Health consortia within the region here, linking medical, veterinary institute here, the agriculture institute nearby. So almost 7 institute we came, and one conference, international conference we organized to initiate a to address region specific One Health issues. And that is also a future perspective of collaborative work, what we want to see with the SBV and Pondicherry University. And in fact, we are currently working on an MOU to be soon signed, and with the SBV and other institute under the One Health for the region. I think this is going to take off in a larger, both in terms of academic as well as research perspective, One Health concept. So I think this is not just stopped for today's, but it's going to be a long way to go on this topic for the region. So moving on, prevention focused, the need prioritize prevent through ecosystem stewardship. I think this is very clear. Global, local, community engagement, all that. So this is again an easier way to understand what it means. Human health, environment, animal health. So we have so many vectors and other components. I don't have to describe it. And role of environment specifically, to again recap in One Health is deforestation mainly we know increases human wildlife contact. That is something Ebola, I think for medical experts, very clear. Climate change, dengue, malaria, pollution impact, antimicrobial resistance. I think this is also very, very alarming and a global issue. AMR and water scarcity, also clean water, and also I think this is very easy to understand the implication why the environment. So little to give you for some, maybe other than COVID-19, it's not just COVID alone 19, which emerged only recently, but there have been in the past so many other outbreaks, and also expected outbreaks in future. For example, Nipah virus in Bangladesh, for bad contaminated date palm sap and so on. How they kind of responses coverings, how they addressed also have been a very specific case study. and outcome also, and so on. What you see is a few examples. H5N1 in Southeast Asia with poultry linkages, and Rift Valley fever, Kenya, and so on. So I don't have to go into detail of this, also due to time constraint now. Challenges and opportunities in implementing One Health. So now I think I hope also I'm sure you will be able to understand mainly the planetary health and One Health and what are the challenges. Cross-sector coordination, this is the main buzzword, cross-sector coordination. That's what we are trying to do also now, right now, with the Pondicherry University, with multiple departments, also with the SBV, Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, with across the department. We want to integrate uh, in cooperation with other veterinary institutes in the region. So these are the challenges, and of course, bringing all the stakeholders, different institution, cross-cutting thing, it's always challenge. Of course, funding limitation is the thing, data gaps, policy, and so on. But when there are challenges, I'm sure you all would agree, there are also opportunities. We have to utilize how we deal with that. So opportunity in terms of global health security via integrated surveillance. This is something people with integrated and multidisciplinary skills can get into such kind of One Health concept. Early detection, prevention, zoonotic pandemics, or through various technologies and so on, agriculture and food system, addressing specifically SDG 3, 13, 15, and 17, also gives and opens the way for addressing this. I think, as you all probably already might have heard of this, global initiative are all already on the way of One Health Joint Plan Action 2022-6. There's something for the Patriot Alliance, WHO, FOE, and so on. And then multi-sector One Health. So it's time for us to bring in also to align with or intangible with global effort and national level effort. I think this conference would pay a way for also collaborative outcome, collaborative research. Following as a follow-up of this conference, I'm sure there will be initiative taken in this regard. So preventing zoonotic disease emergence. So these are all led by different countries, different agencies, as you see in the slide, particularly for One Health, various countries. And this is specific for AMR, I think One Health, the G20, another thing, specifically global tracking of AMR. Things are very clear for AMR, but this is only for AMR, but there are so many other diseases on the way. What are the changes on health impact that I think already we have seen in there is a global effort ongoing thing. There will be impact is going to increase. So vector-borne diseases, WHO particularly reports 30x increase in incidence over past 50 years. And example also is their highest ever dengue outbreak in Bangladesh. And this is something climate change and health, I think already we have seen. I just skip this for the moment. And of course, air pollution, we have seen particularly urban rural divide. In Indian context, Delhi, Kanpur recorded, beyond the limits, 10 to 15 times WHO limits. That's very clear. And there's a lot of very strong data pertaining to that. And this is going to be a larger area of what has to be addressed at the national level. And so on. This also I'm going to skip because we have seen the impact of climate change. Water pollution obviously has also huge impact, particularly Ganga, Burmese coliform also. Pathways, how we are going to address burden, what I think this is something, a prototype of little framework, how each factors like climate impacts different components. Okay, land use change, I think the term you must be now understanding when we disturb a system in the land, or how we, if we create an infrastructure like a road, we are creating a land use change. We are deforesting over almost 10 million hectares of forest are actually lost uh, every year. And example for that is due to habitat change, encroachment, all these disease spread have been well documented research. And last but not least, the urbanization is also impacting global population. For example, live in urban 68% of the global population. So that means very, very well planned urban planning. That is why this One Health also integrates all the city planning, proper urban planning, and so on, to reduce or minimize the health consequences. So urban health is so many components, so many STIs, so I don't want to go into details of this. Biodiversity loss, how it is impacting, we have seen a case of already honeybees and so on. So I'll just skip this. COVID-19 classical example for zoonotic diseases, as I told. Mainly, it has been hypothesized that wildlife markets are the source of zoonotic disease for COVID-19. So this has been already, we have seen. For lack of time, I just move on. Promoting mental resilience is a way by engaging green spaces and mental health tightly linked. So all these urban green plan is also important aspects in terms of sustainable living, agriculture, also the food system, how we are going to manage the fresh water, and still up to all this freshwater usage is have to be minimized for agriculture, but yet we have to produce our own food. In brief, that means we have to reduce the carbon footprint, which is by various methods, as you see in the slide. So another way to say, we need to have a resilient food system, nutrition security, to address also the well-being, planetary health. And of course, the technology is there. Like we have to reduce the fossil fuel, increase the solar and wind, other renewable energy adoption. One of the things which is already, you see the emergence of the EV vehicles. So energy efficient system also integrated in mental health and all that. Of course, energy efficient homes seems to show specifically 20 to 40% decrease in respiratory health. And we all know, very familiar with waste reduction. That is something very, very alarming in terms of number of tons of solid waste generated annually, and how much is recycled is very less compared to the total amount that ends up in landfill. Almost 40% of the rubbish went into landfill. So we need to reduce, reuse, recycle. That is something we, I think most institution, most government specifically making it mandatory to do implement this 3R or waste pathway. And one way to do this so-called circular economy, as I already mentioned in the beginning, circular economy is a model that eliminates waste, continuously use the resources, to, in a way, cut short the wastage. Uh, and, uh, and of course, one responsible way is sustainable transport system, urban mobility by increasing the EV vehicles. I think these are all anyway going to be the future. Even we have seen tremendous increase in EV vehicles. So sustainable urban planning, already I have shown many of these are part of the also the smart city program. Community engagement, this is, I think, now all hospitals, well-being, and One Health is how we involve the community, local community particularly is very, very important. And particularly for education in terms of sustainable development is the need of the hour. And I must say, in fact, although sustainability and climate change have been widely discussed and widely globally, locally, and think discussed on a daily basis, I think the penetration of this awareness or the penetration of the education at the school level or at a very grassroots level is still a long gap between what it means for the public awareness or the school children's understanding of sustainable development. And this is the skill uh, need of the hour or future education need to address this. And one thing, if one of the effort, I think I will show it in my last slide. Pondicherry University is introducing a course on considering the importance among the central university for the first time. We are introducing a BSc program for this year, current year, BSc honors in sustainability and climate change program, undergraduate program. So students who had written CUT exam, Central University exam, they can apply for this degree, BSc degree in sustainability and climate change to be offered by Pondicherry University. Well said. Of course, policy and governance is a framework that I don't have to elaborate more. There's so many policy needed to streamline the process of planetary health. So these are specifically national action plans. I think I have to stop here. Maybe quickly, we are almost time, if I understand. So 1 hour. So India's key action plan, the National Action Plan Climate Change. These are the list of major plans. Role of NGOs and civil society is very, very important in the public health, as you see in the slide, and the economic tools to address this. And of course, we need to have a monetary and evaluation framework. Case studies are there, how certain specific things are addressed. That's also in other countries like Costa Rica, how the green cover have been increased over the time, and they kind of attained a so-called even carbon neutral or sometimes carbon negative countries. So Denmark is a classical example how they attained the thing. And here regionally, we have seen how Auroville had also over the time had expanded the greenery area. So policy backing and all of this, what we have learned lessons is long, many things, and what we need to learn also is a long way to go. In a way, there is a future direction, my view, recommendation. So we need to have a climate smart agriculture, renewable, all this, circular economy, digital tools, of course, AI, all these. And no doubt about it, interdisciplinary research and collaboration is a must, without which we cannot have approach. Of course, this conference itself, we have seen the logos, is huge, diverse institution under one umbrella. I think it's a very, very classical, good example of how multi-institutional participation brings, try to bring a concept of all this well-being in holistic approach. So summary, key takeaways. Planetary health is going to be the human health, sustainable living, actionable, and scalable, of course. The One Health approach is essential, so we cannot ignore it. Interdisciplinary collaboration, as I said. Everybody, every stakeholder, every individual has a role. That is something. To conclude, sustainable living is a foundational, as we have already seen, 6 up to 9 planetary boundaries we are transferred. Planetary health is human health, and so on. Action must be multi-sectorial collaborative. Okay, I think that's something, the last slide, which I want to already tell about little about the center which I belong to, Center for Sustainability and Climate Study, which was opened only recently in 2023 in Pondicherry. And as I told, we are introducing BSc Honors degree in Sustainability and Climate Change for this academic year. So you can also perhaps spread out to your network. Those who are interested after the +2, their eligibility criteria is given. There will be a limited intake of only 25 students. Those who have written the CUTE exam, Central University or Common Entrance Test, can apply for this UG degree. Of course, there is a huge job market on various aspects of sustainability and climate. And there's so many of the activities, including, as I told, we had in collaboration with SPV, we had in the last year organized also a symposium, One Health conference. And this is going to be the way forward also as a continuity of this. So with this, I thank you again for this opportunity. I think there might be some question uh, or maybe we are running out of time. Just I will leave to the organizing team. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for it's an absolute eye opener is what the word that comes to me right now is eye opener in so many factors. You being an environmental scientist, I'm sure all of them will agree that you are the most apt person to be speaking about all this. Sir has given a warning about how much we are abusing ecology, environment, and all that, and how and where, and solutions also. How to repair that. So beautiful. And my personal, learning for today is your PPTs. All the PPTs had, the pointers, and the last line is how to connect all these pointers in green. So thank you so much, sir. That is something which I'm going to follow henceforth in all my presentations. And, you had highlighted about the interconnectedness. I'm sure all the other speakers, the resource persons before you, have also been again and again highlighting on this factor, how much like everything is like a chain, and one link getting cut off is kind of going to upset and imbalance, create an imbalance in the whole thing again. So sir, we are talking again and again about the green environment.
Yeah.
So do you think that it is being practically implemented?
Not, I think in some aspects, in some areas, yes, because it's about prioritizing for many institution investments, also for the governments. As we know, in particularly in Europe, where I also had a long time there, they give a lot of emphasis for urban green areas. Even small packets of areas in the cities are utilized for green areas, for parks and so on, or small sitting area. And similarly for institutions, we in Pondicherry University, we are lucky to say we have a really green campus. Naturally, we are covered with almost 80% of green cover. But this is going to be a big challenge that there should be maintenance of minimum green area for every institution for well-being, every not only the medical institution but also the schools. And that is why right from school this have to be penetrated, the awareness of green area. Students have to be employed, school children itself have to be introduced to the concept of this One Health and the planetary health right from the very young age. And then we can see the impact maybe next 5 years, how the green areas should be improved in different institutions. Even at home, we try to, we need to try to have as much as green for our well-being. It's very clearly known for even a small plant in our table creates some impact for our mental well-being. Yeah.
Very true, very true. So thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for
Thanks
this
again.
wonderful, presentation. So before I open the floor for discussions and questions, there are a few questions which have been put in the chat box. Could you explain the concept of zoonotic, please, by Dr. Ingan, who's also a resource person? She's completed her presentation. So she has asked you this question. Could you explain the concept of zoonotic, please?
Yeah, very easy. Zoo means, as we know, animals. The term arises from animals, and zoonosis means like from animals to humans. Spread of diseases, like many diseases originate. So where it originates from animals. Previously, some diseases were not transmitted. Sometime now there are incidents like diseases from animals to humans are spreaded in many occasions. So simply input concept, because of closer contact nowadays with not animals alone means wild animals, but also pet animals, because many of the wild animals are now, I don't know, over the time last, they try to pet it or domesticate it. I know this becoming also like I don't know, lifestyle or fashion to bring animals from wild animals which are not supposed to be in contact with humans. We have seen many YouTube videos, I think, they try to, bring these animals in a close, when they are in closer encounter with humans, obviously they previously unknown diseases also are might be catched up to humans. That's something zoonosis is going to be, they say, threat. Another thing is also, as you know, the global warming is ever increasing. One profound effect, what they are predicting is the tundra, the permafrost areas like Siberia, where some animals in the past millions of years ago, something which are dead and preserved, which had some kind of virus or bacteria caught up with them. It seems there is some prediction when all these glaciers melt or these areas melt. So these again, the animals which have been frozen or even extinct. So the disease from there also, there is a possibility we might catch up completely unknown new diseases that they predict much more, even very life-threatening than even COVID pandemic. So like that, there are many resources of zoonosis, different contexts, different, sometimes even re-emergence, which sometimes what we think like diseases which are extinct locally, like elephantiasis or many zoonoses which we thought we eradicated may also re-emerge because of the change in climate and so on. Yeah. So animal to humans, and of course there might be intermediate path also in between. It's basically in animal to human. Zoonosis.
Thank you so much, sir. One question by Divya. Kindly explain what is meant by aerosol loading.
Yeah. So it's concerning the pollution, air pollution. There are different components in that. There is a critical limit for when there is a combination of moisture, other components, various particulate that's going beyond the threshold creates an impact on human health directly. So that's a term that's to indicate, okay, there is overloading of aerosol in the environment that's going to impact health, like PM 2.5 and other indicators. So it just indicates there are too many of particles and so on in the air.
So we have Ms. Namrata Shah. She has, I can see, raised hand. So Namrata, please unmute.
Yeah.
And I think you can ask a question.
Namaskar, everyone. Thank you
Yeah.
for the sessions. And sir, it was a wonderful, informative session.
Thank
My
you.
question is that we know the most of the oxygen is, the source of it is the oceans. Okay.
Yeah.
So what can we do to protect the oceans? And if you could highlight something about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very, very apt point or question you brought. Ocean is the major source. Sometimes we are most of us overlook this contribution of ocean because we focus on land, what we see around oxygen from trees or green areas. But ocean source of oxygen is huge because we are covered more than 70% of the earth covered by ocean, and the impact of any change in ocean, for example, ocean acidification, and then the loss of oxygen by carbonates, other thing. Then the important part is we have to prevent this ocean acidification and try to minimize this deoxygenation process. And that means at the end, there are many interrelated components entering into ocean that causes the reduced oxygen production. I mean, we all know all these huge pollution, tons, millions of tons of pollution entering into the ocean surface and creates a huge changes in the algal or mainly the planktonic, the top layer biological system, huge change. And obviously all these are observed, and we have to reduce. I think the most important part is uh, reduce as much possible of the pollution. That includes everything, also microplastics, plastic introduction, largely the pollution that creates these changes because of the changes in the living system, particularly the microbial living system on top. So for sure we need to reduce the pollution. A huge broad spectrum there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So I would like to call upon Dr. Ingan for her comments, please. Dr. Ingan? Yeah.
Yes, thank you, sir, for a very nice and informative talk. It's almost nice to know that you have this Center for Sustainability and Climate Studies, because it's so needed in our time that someone focus on this. For those of us who are not working with this on a daily basis, even though I was very engaged in topics like this in my youth, and I'm still feeling quite that it's necessary to keep up. It's nice to hear that someone has such a good understanding of the interconnectivity of all these topics. So what I appreciate is the way that you were able to connect research, knowledge about policy or regulation, the understanding that we all need to be aware of this, and that, as I also talked about when I talked in this series, that we need to start with the young people, with the children, to educate them so they will take this responsibility, because it's so urgent.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we have
exactly.
no choice. We have to focus on this, and otherwise we will have a very unhealthy planet, and I don't know how we can survive in a good way. So it's that urgent. But I also wanted to challenge you because, as you probably noticed when you were invited, this whole seminar series is focusing on what can yoga contribute to that. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, I think I see it in. I think you brought a main important point, how yoga things are connected to this planetary health and vice versa. So yoga, in my view, of course, one is that's individual's well-being, what we want to, how we want to achieve the well-being, fitness as an individual. But how I see is this yoga itself now, in my view, evolving in a way. They're trying to integrate yoga trying to integrate various components, say what kind of environment, how for this particular, I don't know, maybe temperature influence, maybe when we want to do yoga, maybe early morning or which temperature. So our best benefit of yoga achieved by the environment, maybe the link what I can see between yoga. I mean to say what we can bring the best of the yoga in best environment system under the planetary health. So I think that's to maximize the benefit of yoga would be also to understand this environment better for planetary health better.
I just wanted to comment a bit back that the yoga is also importantly about awareness raising for human beings, for them to develop their consciousness. And it's also a lot about the way you live. So I think some of the lifestyle choices that is encouraged in yoga could perhaps also be something that is encouraged in the general population, because these problems that we are facing now with planetary health, they are related to our lifestyle. We don't only take from the planet what we need, we take all that we are greedy for. And that is something that maybe yoga or yogis could help to raise that consciousness.
Absolutely, because as you said, yoga is just not about physical training itself, but the way of living or practicing some best practices, or in a way to put, as I already mentioned. So all these planetary health directly links with responsible living, or even responsible consumption, or sustainable living. Which is actually directly the other component of yoga. Yoga is not just about physical, but also how we live, interact with the people, in a way also what we eat. That can be veganism and all things. So in fact, we know, for example, veganism is the one of the major way individual, if somebody is asked to say how I can contribute to global health or planetary health, as an individual, just switching to vegan itself would make a huge big impact, what one can think of, because you are reducing the water consumption or production of animal meat and so on. So many things are integrated. So just by changing one habit of, a part of yoga, of living a yogic way of living itself would be tightly linked with individual's contribution. I think this is right. I think good you brought it in terms of how yoga is linked with this. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ingan, for your comments and how you brought in, like you wanted sir to connect how yoga is connected to this whole thing. So thank you so much. And we would like to, I'm just sharing the screen. So we would like to honor sir with this certificate, which he'll be receiving through mail. So thank you so much, sir,
Thank
for
you very much.
taking the
Thank you
time
for all the participants.
for
Attention.
excellent preparation that you have made. All your slides were so informative, and thank you so much. We are really, again, the eye opening is what comes to my mind again and again. So you have kind of pointed out so many places and so many instances where we have to be aware. Yes, and how to sustain things, how to maintain things. Absolutely. Thank you again, sir. Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure. Thank you for having me in this wonderful event and international event with a very dynamic and participative audience. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker on day 6, which is on 30th of May, is going to be Dr. Kalpana Sharma, who's a Dean, Faculty of Education, and she's the Director, Amity School of Physical Education and Sports Science. And she will be discussing on the topic Yoga Curriculum for School and College Students to promote environmentally sustainable practices. So looking forward to meeting you all again on 30th. So before we sign off, let's finish with the Shanti Mantra. Take a deep breath in. Om. Loka samastha sukhino bhavantu. Sarve janaha sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Thank you all so much. See you all on the 30th of May with another wonderful session. So see you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Have a nice day. Thank you.